Hi, I'm Pretty Please, and today we attempt to abolish the death penalty.
Nobody asked. Nobody asked. Literally nobody asked it.
So in this video, I'm going to give you some more context about the death penalty. So what kind of offences are punishable by the death penalty, some survey findings, as well as why I think the death penalty should be abolished. So before we get into all that, I just want to say a massive shout out to Kristen Han. So she runs the blog wethecitizens.substack.com, so you guys can check it out. So she has compiled so much information and it's all on her blog. And it's pretty much everything you need to know. So this is essentially a video form of everything that Kristen already has out there on her blog, in hopes that this will help to reach way more people. Okay, so let's get into this. So what offences are punishable by the death penalty in Singapore? So it is generally used for three main offences in this particular order. The first one being drug trafficking, second murder, and third one firearms offences. The majority of death row cases in Singapore have to do with drug offences, so that's what we're going to focus on in this video. So you might be wondering, are Singaporeans in favour of the death penalty? In a survey conducted in 2016 with 1,500 respondents, it was found that Singaporeans apparently favoured the death penalty, despite admitting that they knew very little about it, was not interested in it, and could not give an accurate estimate of the number of persons executed. So basically, it's a don't know, don't care, but I'm just going to say yes because it seems like the correct answer, and I'm also probably a bit scared to say no lah. Also, this survey was conducted 4 years ago. A lot can change in 4 years. 4 years ago, Wisan was like a newborn child there. So since this 2016 survey established that Singaporeans are in favour of the death penalty, don't we deserve to know exactly how many people are getting executed, who they are, and why this is even happening? If you sign up for something, you should know what that thing entails, right? Yes, we deserve to know. So if we take a look at 2019, 4 people were executed. 2 of them for murder and 2 of them for drug trafficking. But if we take a look at the previous year in 2018, 13 people were executed, 2 of them for murder and 11 of them for drug trafficking. And I think these are really insane figures because if you think about it, these are actual human lives and not just numbers or stats, okay? We're talking about 13 people in 2018 and 4 people in 2019. So who are these people? They are usually minorities from disadvantaged backgrounds or people who are not from Singapore, might not even speak the language, let alone have avenues to find good legal representation. Now that I've given you guys some context about the death penalty in Singapore, I want to share a couple of reasons why I think the death penalty should be abolished. Number 1. Mistakes have been made. The recent acquittal of Indonesian domestic worker Pati Liani has demonstrated that the police, the prosecution, and the courts are clearly imperfect and that mistakes can be made. It took 3 years to acquit her charges. If this was a death penalty case, acquittal might not even be in the picture once an innocent life is lost. And in 2011, a Nigerian man was sentenced to death for drug trafficking. However, in 2014, he was acquitted by the High Court, but then the Court of Appeal decided to reverse this decision in 2015. And then finally, the Court of Appeal decided to reverse its own decision in a very rare move, and he was finally acquitted 5 days ago and is now a free man. If his lawyers had not kept on the case and pushed the Apex Court's decision to be reviewed, he potentially could have been sentenced to death and hung. Clearly, the death penalty is irreversible, so there needs to be an immediate suspension of all executions to allow enough time to review all these cases, the evidences, as well as the failures within the existing legal process. The fact that it's irreversible makes it even more chilling when we look back at past cases where the accused has already been executed, despite circumstances or new evidence that come to light that could have helped them get acquitted or, just give them a lighter sentence in their case. An example is Vignesh Murthy, who was 23 years old when he was hung in 2003. I will include links to this specific case in my caption, so please read it. Number 2. Prisoners' rights. In 2018, the Singapore Prison Service forwarded 5 letters written by death row inmate Syed Suhail bin Syed Zin to the Attorney General's chambers. Among these 5 letters, there was one that Syed had written to his then defense counsel. At that time, Syed was in the middle of appealing his conviction and death sentence to the Court of Appeal, with the AGC as the prosecution. Under Regulation 127A of the Prison Regulations, prison officers are allowed to open and read any letters that are written by or sent to any prison inmates. They are also allowed to make copies of letters or withhold them if it contains anything that affects the security or good order of the prison. But the same regulation also states the power to copy or withhold correspondence do not apply to letters written by a prisoner to the prisoner's legal advisor and letters written by a prisoner's legal advisor. So the question of the day is, how come the prison was able to forward Syed's letter that he had written to his lawyer to the AGC. Why did the AGC not flag up this matter in 2018 when Syed's matter was still pending before the court? It is also worth noting that this only came to light on the 17th of September 2020, the day before Syed had originally been scheduled to hang. If Syed did not have pro bono legal representation, and if his new lawyer M. Ravi had not filed for applications that led to the High Court giving him an interim stay of execution, would Syed have then been hanged and this matter never come to light? Number 3. The irony of it all. The motto of Singapore Prison Service, which describes its officers as captains of lives, is rehab, renew, and restart. Well, unless you're telling me that Singapore Prison Service believes in reincarnation, I'm not sure how the death penalty is going to rehabilitate, renew, or restart anything. I'm sorry, but is our country only ready to talk about drugs when we slap on some super tone-deaf hashtag like get high on love? Or if we only push like anti-drug campaigns to kids and be like, hey, say no to drugs, but do we not give a shit when we're talking about grown-ass adults who suffer from drug addiction? Or the amount of people getting executed every single year for drug-related offenses? Those are a couple of reasons why I think the death penalty should be abolished. But of course, I know there are a whole bunch of people out there who are on the other end of the spectrum and would completely disagree with everything in this video. So thankfully, Kirsten also compiled and addressed a couple of frequently heard comments in this discussion. This is the law and everyone knows about this. Hello, who made this law? Laws are man-made. Laws can be unjust, get outdated, and be amended. History is full of laws that were enforced for years only to be changed as society evolved or as injustices were righted. It's called getting with the times. Look it up. Singapore itself made amendments to the death penalty regime following a review in 2012. There are people who were hanged prior to 2012 who might have been spared the gallows under these new amendments. Just because it's the law doesn't make it ethical, moral, right, or just. We also need to ask ourselves questions like, what exactly does the death penalty achieve? Who does it help? What does it say about our society? What do we want justice to be about? And remember, as mentioned earlier, we also need to consider the very important and unfortunately very likely possibility of wrongful executions. Singapore's capital punishment regime keeps us safe, unlike other countries with higher rates of crime. Safe from what? There is no evidence that the death penalty works better than any other punishment in deterring crime. While Singapore has a lower crime rate than various other jurisdictions, there is no evidence proving that this is due to the death penalty. Remember, correlation does not mean causation. There are many other variables that come into play, such as education, socioeconomic status, community support, quality of law enforcement, etc. What about the victims? Drugs destroy lives and families. Why are we pleading for the traffickers instead of the victims? We should be concerned about those whose lives have been negatively affected by drug use and abuse. But given that there's no evidence the death penalty actually deters or reduces drug trafficking, it's unclear how the death penalty actually helps people struggling with addiction or those affected by their behavior. Sometimes those who are caught and charged as traffickers are themselves addicts. One example is Syed Sohail, who I mentioned earlier on. Instead of helping drug addicts, the death penalty sometimes actually kills them. People who are against the death penalty don't campaign against it because we don't care for the people who suffered from drug addiction and abuse. Instead, we argue that society has to approach the issue in a holistic way that focuses on support, rehabilitation, and reintegration into society rather than punishment. We believe that addiction should be predominantly treated as a public health issue and not a criminal one. If we don't execute them, then what? Under the current system, the alternative to the death penalty for drugs is life imprisonment with caning, which is also cruel, and we need prison reform to make it rehabilitative in nature. But it is still better than the death penalty. Why should we spend taxpayers' money to feed and house these criminals in prison? Okay, if you already pay taxes, then hello, welcome to the club. The club where there is no accountability or data transparency to begin with. Taxpayers' money could be going to fund the military, your favorite MP's salary, excessive NDP fireworks, or even making dumb shit like A Boys to Men movies. We never know. So I'm not sure why it's an issue if our taxpayers' money is finally going to do something useful, like provide basic human rights to someone facing drug addiction. If we're concerned about the death penalty, what can we do as Singaporeans? We can sign this petition. The petition serves as a ground-up initiative to gauge the sentiment of the general population. By signing this petition, you are letting the state know that you do not consent to the continuation of capital punishment. Additionally, you are contributing an important data point that can be used to build a foundation for the abolition of the death penalty in the future. You can also write to members of parliament, the cabinet, and the president and signal to those in power that the death penalty is an issue that Singaporeans pay attention to and care about. The more people speak out against the death penalty and let politicians know about it, the greater the political cost of arguing for the death penalty or executing someone. This is an important moment in Singapore's history. Lives are at stake. These are people who cannot have the voice to advocate for themselves. So if you're against the death penalty too, please sign this petition and let's get their voices and stories heard and help them receive the help that they deserve, instead of facing state-sanctioned murder.